Hello everyone, this is Vasant Variar. I thought of making this short video for women on career break who are trying to get back to the main workforce but struggling to get an opportunity. So, this is a short story about my wife who went on a career break in 2012. She had 7 years experience that time. A majority of the experience was in project management office and some time she had spent in recruitment. 2019, after a period of 7 years, from 2012 she went on career break. 2019 she started re-looking for a job. She thought everything is fine. I think I can update my resume, prepare as per my resume, start applying for the job, and clear the interview and join a company. So simple. But actually, it was not that simple, as you know. She faced major challenges, and challenges were very weird challenges. It was like not with respect to the skills, but it was with respect to the break she has taken. So although there were like very few opportunities, there also she was getting rejected because she has taken a break, and the interviewer had that fuss because of the career break, as if it's a crime. So uh, it was a bit funny. So what we did is, like, after a year, my wife got a bit frustrated, and she actually uh, kind of a despair, got into a despair, absence of hope. So we thought, let's rethink about this particular situation and try to find a solution. So on analyzing the situation, what we found is, point number one, we are not hitting the nail, which means the market actually had a lot of IT openings. As a result, the IT recruitment jobs were too many. But my wife was trying more for a project management office job where the openings are less. So we changed the strategy, and point number one, she had built her resume previously based on the project management office. This time she kind of had rebuilt the resume based on the recruitment experience. So she added and she highlighted the recruitment experience. And second, she also added some inputs based on her knowledge on the latest areas. So she keeps on upgrading herself, and she kept on kind of knowing what is this artificial intelligence, what is this like test engineer, test automation engineer, kind of like. So it's not the technical part, but she kind of had given that input from the recruiter perspective. So the resume was built. So that was step one. Step two, definitely there was some lag on the personality also, because after a period of 7 years, a lady comes out and tries to rejoin the workforce with a guilt, as if some crime has been done by taking a break. But let me tell you, it's not a crime. It was a need for the family, right? So the approach which a lady should take is, like, she should feel more confident, positive, and connect with the interviewer as if like the interviewer is a friend and we are talking about the job requirement at the same wavelength. Okay, and never to be down a level down, like this. Okay, you have to be talking at the same level with the same confidence as you were when you left the job. So this was second point, where the self belief and self confidence of my wife had gone down, and it had to be changed with the thought process and the mindset, which we did. Third was the speaking confidence. This also had gone down, and this time it was a different approach, because now we had changed the resume. So we are on the step 3, where we changed the resume and we had kind of made the recruitment experience highlighted. But here there were like more components to be added. One was like the recruitment process. So first thing was, since now she is like targeting to become an IT recruiter, first thing is she had to update her recruitment process skills, like what is the overall cycle of the recruitment and how it works in the IT, and when you're doing the recruitment process, what has to be updated in the system from time to time, like if you want to open like job opening in the Naukri or job opening in the like the ERP system, create applicant, schedule interview. So what are the activities involved, what is the overall framework or the process, and in the process what are the activities a recruiter should do, so that she should be aware of. So she updated herself on that. And then very important, she is like targeting for IT recruitment job, so obviously she needs to know about the IT landscape. So when I say IT landscape, it is having an overview of the IT from the business perspective. So for example, you don't need to do any coding. Let's say I talk about Amazon Web Service, or I talk about Azure, or I talk about RPA. So these technologies are a part of the IT landscape, but for the upgrade perspective, the way the coder will see is he wants to learn the technology. But the way IT recruiter will see is how the technology is being used by the business for their benefit. What are the different job profiles in those technologies? And as an IT recruiter, what are the questions you are supposed to ask the applicant? Applicant means the person maybe who is like already into a particular technology like RPA or Selenium. So what are the right questions? So for example, the right questions could be, maybe you have to ask based on the job opening, you have to ask like for example, it's let's say it's for 4 years experience or 5 years experience. So you need to counter check with the applicant how many years of experience the person has, whether the person has any certification, whether there is any specific domain in which he has done that work, like financial domain or HR domain or retail domain, anything. So that was a third step. So here, once all these things were done, right, the building blocks. So first building block was the building the resume. Second was the mindset. Third was the speaking with the confidence. Fourth was recruitment, understanding the recruitment process. And fifth was understanding the IT landscape. So it's almost like 5-step process which we had. It is like a Diwali Ladi. So once this was all set up, we were ready to prepare for the interview. So my wife started preparing for the interview, and with the examples and with lot of inputs based on the latest trend, what kind of job roles are there. So surprisingly, she started now getting lot of calls, and calls were too many. So she was into the mode of giving interviews, where she was clearing also interviews. In one of the interviews, she went to the almost final round, and in the final round, the person again came with the same problem. Oh, you got 7-8 years of, rather 8, more than 8 years of career break. How will you manage coming back to the professional world? Will you be able to manage the job with your family? All kind of silly questions people have, as you know. So here I realized that, okay, so in that situation, what happened is, like, my wife, 1 or 2 interviews, she flunked again because she didn't have the answer to these questions, because she thought probably the conversation or the communication, it should close. But what I told her is, an objection in interview is not about closing the conversation. That is a point where a woman on career break needs to bring out the value and show the interviewer that this is the value you are bringing out. So the underlying objective is to continue with the conversation. And first thing, as a tip I would give you is, like, you can ask that, let me have a look at the JD if it suits me or not. So try to get into that mode. If you don't have an immediate answer to the question what the interviewer is asking, you can ask for a JD on your email ID, and from email ID you can start conversing further and show your confidence and the willingness to take up the job. So that is point number 1. Point number 2 is, when you are going for interview, always anticipate any objection. So be prepared for the objection. So this time my wife, what she did is like she was prepared for the objection after getting a couple of rejections for the IT recruiter position. And in the next interview, she was asked one question, also raised as objection only, that hey, this job profile now it has got, we need a person who has got, who is supposed to have 4 years of experience, and you are having only 2 years of experience, hardly 2 years of experience. So will you be able to manage the job? So that was a question from the interviewer to my wife. But this time my wife was well prepared. So what she said is that 6 months we take maybe to learn the skills, 1 year for implementation of the skills, and after 1 year we are the master of the skills. But after that, for next 2 years we are kind of doing the same repeat job, because the skills are now embedded in our DNA and we are doing the repeat process, right? Like preparing the same curry, same rice. Okay, so what is so special about it? So she was not rude, but politely she asked that person, giving this, articulating it and asking him that what is the difference between 2 years experience and 4 years experience in IT recruiting. Here the person got impressed with the communication my wife had, and he said, okay, let me just send you the JD and you can just assess it further. So from there on, things started working better. She started getting confident in the interview more and more, and now actually it has become a passion for her to attend the interviews. And fast forward, now she has 3 offers in her hand as an IT recruiter, and she is considering one of the options to go forward. So that is her overall experience, and I hope I could share certain tips with you guys, and this should help you in your further journey. So stay tuned for my next videos. Thank you.